Welcome, Ecom Logistics Nation. We're thrilled to be coming to you live from the heart of Atlanta at Modex 2024, right here at the Georgia World Congress Center. A shout out to our sponsor, G&P Construction, your go-to provider for comprehensive turnkey material handling and solutions in both logistics and commercial needs. We are truly grateful for the support.
The worst thing is to not implement anything for having paralysis of analysis. Make a quick decision, move on, learn from it, fail fast, and improve.
And now we are thrilled to be joined by RD, who is Principal E-commerce Fulfillment and Warehouse at Amazon. Thank you so much for joining us, RD.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's actually really exciting. RD and I were having a conversation last week, and they're like, we got to get you on the podcast. I'm like, we really got to get you on the podcast with the perspective that he has, the things that he gets to see. I think very few people, and there is tens of thousands of people here right now.
Yes.
I got to say, very few people get the perspective, access, understanding at the scale that they operate. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with you.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It is an overwhelming Modex.
Yeah.
Unless you're organized, you cannot cover everything. But lot to learn, and that's what I came here for, with an open mind.
That's beautiful.
It is awesome.
And let's start with talking about where that perspective comes from. So would love for you to share with the audience your journey in the logistics and supply chain space.
So logistics and supply chain space really got its name, I would say, maybe 15 years ago, where it was not really the thing. There was no logistics and supply chain courses. Literally, I graduated in 98, and there was not a supply chain core or you could focus on. I started on early on in my life with APIC certifications, then went on to work for General Motors, and then ended up designing their warranty center out of Milford. And that's how I knew I actually designed a warehouse or reverse logistics facility with a WMS from an Excel worksheet. And that's how we did, raw material planning, kitting. How do we send raw material to and from car dealerships? Direct to customer was not even a thing that time, but we were doing direct to customer. And understanding the world of materials, which is automotive materials, was phenomenal. That's how I started, then went on to work for Container. After that, DHL Supply Chain, who are the leaders in 3PL today. And then also currently with Amazon, leading a design team with a focus on people's safety, quality, and capital expenditure. So I am leading a very huge capital expenditure footprint. Yes. And we are considering everything today. So enjoying so far. It is a fun ride, but evolving very fast.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting with all that journey and now getting to Amazon, like I would assume that when you step into Amazon, there is nothing you can look left or right to say, how is someone else doing something? The scale, the operational execution that you have to do is, again, there is a lot of benefits to that because now you can justify a lot of cost, but it also then brings to the table, like, I have to do something. I can try it for so long, but I have to do something that is unique because there is not something that I can just pick from a full end-to-end strategy. Of course, there are capabilities in certain parts of a facility that you can replicate. But when it comes to the end-to-end, that has to be a design and engineering thought process that is at the leading edge, bleeding edge. And I mean, you really don't have the option of bleeding edge for you. You got to be leading edge, right?
Correct. And a small change, I'll take Amazon as an example. A small change, a 1 second change or improvement in cycle times, then adds up to millions and billions of big steps, and eventually it adds to our bottom line. So
Right.
that's how it goes. And while improving, we improve customer satisfaction. Our SLAs then goes from 3 days to 2 days to 1. But the most important thing is our confidence which customers have, that they understand that 99% my product will be here on this date and within that hour. So that's what we always gain. And one other point I would recommend is looking at designing 3PL or designing sort centers or designing fulfillment centers, warehouses, is looking end to end. Just don't look at your inbound. Just don't look at your outbound. Look at your middle mile also. Look at what is happening in the belly. Look at the labor satisfaction you're gaining, and then add automation. Just don't add automation because it is so fancy. It is, oh my God, the drone is flying in the air. But is it adding value? Is it adding value to safety? Is it adding value to labor satisfaction? And is it adding value to your bottom line? All three things, one of them missing, you will not have a happy customer.
We actually had someone this morning who does advisory on the robot side, right? And he called it the shiny 3PL object, right?
Yeah.
Like the shiny 3PL object, which is 3PLs tend to buy technology just to show to the customers that it's shiny, right? Like RAS specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, stop doing that, right? Like it's truly look into, do you really need it, right? Again, I don't know if that's like 100% that I would agree with. I've seen it in the past, definitely, right? But yeah, to the point that you are making, don't look at just one part of it. Look at the end to end and see where the opportunities happen to be. I mean, I recently had an opportunity of that nature to step into a very high throughput direct to consumer environment. And they started doing retail distribution from that site. And what I saw was all they changed was the pack process.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And it is one of the most inefficient processes I've seen. And there is so much opportunity within that you can kind of evolve into. And it's like, you have to look at it. Maybe you could skip the receiving on that flow, but you gotta look at like that entire allocation to outbound flow and receiving as well, right? In certain cases, you should be looking at. Wholeheartedly agree. When you're looking at it, look at the whole picture.
Agree.
So RD, I want to frame what we're going to spend a lot of time talking about, which is maybe what you're excited about, what you're seeing here at Modex. But before going there, with your vantage point from what you've seen from DHL to Amazon, I think it would be interesting if, from your perspective, when you talk about customer satisfaction, and we're all online buyers, we all have expectations of when that is going to arrive at our porch or doorstep. What are you seeing, or as you think about how logistics providers should be thinking about how to be planning for the next couple years out, how do you see we as consumers are going to change our expectations? Obviously, we get, with Prime, the 2-day just became the norm. Now we're seeing the 1 day and the same day. But as you see that evolution of customer experience, I think that's just a great perspective as people start planning on how they prepare for that down the road.
Good question. I would not recommend to do a disruptive strategy. If your strategy is not 2-day shipment, don't run after it. If your strategy is 5 days shipment, if your strategy is 15 days shipment, whatever your SLA is, perfect that. Don't go after, okay, because somebody is doing it, I'm going to do it. But once you identify what your strategy is, the biggest thing is to embrace digitalization. What do I mean by that? It is a key word these days in 3PL or is understanding, do I have the data? Everyone has a data lake, but is that a data swamp?
Yeah.
Understand the data. Put a tech stack on it, which analyzes the data. And once you analyze the data, what do you do with it? do you have dashboards which are actionable, not only visual? And I have been a culprit. I made my sites, which are 500,000 square feet sites, with 21-inch TVs and invited my leadership, look what I did. But those screens were useless. They were not actionable. So now do an actionable data. Make your people, they are your first asset. Make their life easier, which is better forecasting, better planning. Everyone should understand what is coming in my dog door. What am I shipping outside? Am I doing overtime? What department am I working in? Those are small things, but that is what, if you concentrate on that, all you do is, you cannot improve something if it is not standardized. First is get to zero, from -3 to 0. And once you get to 0, then you can improve something. And that is one of the aspects, one of the leadership principles at Amazon is learn and be curious. Standardize, learn, be curious, and then you do bias for action is what action I will do, which will help with my people, quality, safety, and eventually cost, which will make our stakeholders happy, which will make my people happy, which will make the team happy, and they will go home satisfied.
That is so well put to that question. I was trying to think about a follow-up, and it's that just ties a pretty bow.
It does. And I really appreciate how you started that, because we work with some brands where, again, they've looked at their data and they know their LTV. So the long-term value of their client is unchanged so long as the order is at the customer's door in 6 days.
Yeah.
So that's what they chase, and that's what they're looking to perfect. And as soon as the customer is maybe demanding 5 days or 4 days, then they look to make the change, but they just make that 6-day expectation and process perfect.
And it's the free part, right? It's free 2-day delivery, free 5-day delivery. So as long as the free is there, but the customer is then willing to say, oh, if you do it for 2, I'm going to still pay for it. And that's their strategy, right? I think everyone has to look. And I think we have spoken about this on multiple episodes before, but it's also general merchandise versus if you are a brand that's very specific, a customer wants to buy, I don't know, On shoes, right? That's not sold on Amazon. Then you want to buy the on clouds, right? And this is the only place that it's available. So it's okay if they ship it in 5 days, right? That's a different equation than doing, general merchandise.
That's right.
People are used to getting it quick, getting it fast, right? And Amazon set that tone. I mean, that's not going anywhere. So, yeah.
So RD, you've been coming to Modex, I think, as we were talking about, for the past 10 or so years. So would love your perspective on how you've seen the conference evolve and maybe the solution providers and what's being showcased. I mean, we have literally miles of solution providers, automation, robotics, technology. How have you seen it evolve? What are you excited about that you're seeing?
We come to Modex with a set agenda. Myself, my team, my colleagues, we come with a set agenda of understanding, one, what is the purpose and what is the intent. If you do not come, you will walk 10,000 steps every day, and end of the day, you will be overwhelmed, you will be tired, and you didn't gain anything. So that's what we do. We try to understand the technology, not as per the vendor, goods to person, okay, loading, unloading, robotic packaging, MHE, who has singulation, who has robotic semi-auto inducts, who has anything which will take labor effort away, or who can add to my safety. Where is my safety right now? Concerns. Those things we come in not with a particular vendor in mind, but with a technology in mind. And once we understand, we do the planning at least a week before, and then divide and conquer, because this is a big show. If we cannot divide and conquer and then go home next week and connect all the dots, understand the plan, and then put a plan of action in place. Otherwise, we just wasted our time. So over the years, what we have learned is there is the repeaters, and then there are the innovators. And
Yeah,
so the
unpack that for
repeaters,
us. Yeah.
that. Okay.
yeah, the repeaters are coming every year after year. They have a amazing product which they have sold a lot, but they are coming to the show with the same technology, no innovation, no AI, Gen AI, or nothing to betterment it. They are resting on their laurels, what we call it.
Okay.
But then most of my team comes for the innovators. Is what do you have? We saw you last year. We see you are doing more AI kind. Digitally, you have done better. Your robotic arm had only 6 movements last year. Now you have 8.
Yep.
Okay. Your payload is 50 was 50 pounds. Now you have 80. What have you done? Your suction capacity of grabbing a package has gone up, not only on suction vacuum itself on PSI, but it has also put sensors as if it is a thumb or a palm. And that is what we are looking for, is how can this technology take us for next 2 years? And we do not think more than 2 years. It can be RAS, it can be fixed. Doesn't matter. That comes next. But once we identify the technology, the players, and then we understand the capability of the team.
Okay.
That is
The people
one of the
behind-
biggest. The people behind it plays a big role. Not because you have a 10,000 square foot booth.
Yeah.
If you have a 1,000 square feet booth and you have an amazing technology, hungry, educated, know what you're talking about, experience from the floor, and you understand our pain, you can cry and laugh with us, you are our partners. And that's what we go for.
Dude, I love that. I got chills in my spine with that particular conversation. The thought clarity around that, right? Like, you're coming with a very clear intent and purpose and a strategy, right? Like, it's not walking aimlessly, because I can tell you, I've done that at many shows. It's like walking aimlessly all over the place. I mean, I can tell you, getting RD's time, like, we needed to slot it in right exact in between this time. There is like back-to-back-to-back scheduling. That intent, the purpose is, hey, how much improvement have you made as an innovator? Of course, there is the repeaters that have the strategy, and it's like, yeah, there is a little bit of relationship side, but we can do the relationship over a phone.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't need to, like, while I have limited amount of time to be able to address what I need to. That in itself is an amazing strategy. I love it. I like the way you guys are approaching it. And I do want to take it into that so now, okay, you got the RAS and the fixed asset capital invested, like big time MHE, right? Conveyors, etc. Less so maybe from an Amazon perspective, but like, you worked for DHL in the past as a 3PL. You've probably seen from a client perspective as well, right? In the 3PL universe, like the automation investments. How excited are you about RAS? Because that's the new puppy, and or it's not that new, but it's still new. Like, how excited are you about robotics as a service solution?
Yeah.
Or the platforms?
Since you mentioned DHL, I would say DHL has one of the most organized digitalization innovation team. They exactly know where they're going, how their innovation team is funneled from the leadership to the lowermost engineer. They have super smart people, very focused, and they are making amazing strides. So again, that's where I come from.
Yeah.
But that's the culture I took to Amazon, is what can I add? So coming back to RAS, there are some companies who have cyclic volumes or peaks or seasonalities. And in that case, a RAS model works perfect. Matter of fact, it is more helpful. And one thing about RAS is it gives you an opportunity to try before buy.
Right.
And that is one of the things, is some companies have 100% RAS that we are not going to budge. It is only RAS, but then some of them have RAS plus you can have a buy option. So it is the safest. But if you have a cyclic volume that 4 months of the year, you have an amazing 400% growth in your volume, RAS is perfect. You have a partner, a technology partner with you who is going to install, who's going to take your pain away, and you still can fulfill your customers' demand, like Black Friday, Father's Day, Valentine's Day. All of these are cough and cold season for pharmaceutical industry or automotive or everyone else. There is always that, what do you need for? And RAS serves a very good market. I would say a low to a medium 3PL market very well. And it has enabled these players to apply automation on their floor, which was not possible. When I was growing up, one AGV was $500,000 or $500,000, which I did my first AGV on a General Motors floor, and I was amazing about it. Now you get for a fraction of the cost. So, and let me speak about the CapEx. If your company has the backing, and if you have the technology behind a capital expenditure, you can go buy. Some of the companies, Amazon's major focus is CapEx, is we call it two-way and one-way doors. What does mean is, can you take a U-turn after buying stuff? If it is a two-way door at Amazon, we make quick decisions. It is not so much red tape. It is not so much of a long-term approvals, 500 all the way to the top management. But if it is a one-way door, then we make cautious decisions, more analysis-based decisions, and more cross-functional team decisions. But if it is a two-way door for a capital expenditure for a robotic or a technology base, we make the decisions quick. And as Jeff Bezos says, the worst thing is to not implement anything for having paralysis of analysis. Make a quick decision, move on, learn from it, fail fast, and improve. That's what we do.
That is very well said. I mean, I can imagine, you said something in a previous conversation related to that as well, was like, we don't look out more than 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have enough scale to say your capital expenditure, your ROI is probably gotta be like 2 years. Be like, and that becomes that two-way door conversation as well. It's like, yeah, I can go in, make an investment, and be out of it if it didn't work out in a very short amount of time, right? That's something that I'm reading from this. Would that be accurate?
Yes, it is. It is accurate. Am I going to be stuck with this technology and what it takes to keep it going? And can I recycle it for the next version? That is the goal.
Yeah. So can you just, because I think that is super important. I love that strategy, but can you define the one-way door and two-way door?
One more level deeper?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So I'll take an example. We always have automation decisions or digitalization decisions made. So there can be 4 teams working on the same goal, which is unheard of. But we start with 3-4 teams on the same goal, even though it is redundant. And we do a very, very PDP focused or process driven steps from our innovation funnel to our process or LTM gates. And it's like, okay, this is what we need. And then we define the problem extremely well. In the DMAC process, I teach DMAC. I'm personally a black belt. And I teach myself practice. And when I'm taking a class, I tell students that the biggest important things in DMAC is define and control. In between is all good.
Yeah.
But the person who can define a problem within 1 minute knows the problem. Don't be vague about it. Don't define your problem that it takes you 1 hour to define it. You don't have the right definition. Once you have a definition, you will find 100 companies, 500 engineers, and 1,000 supporters to build that solution. But define the problem so crisp that everyone understands it. Your leadership understands it in your white paper. Your people understand it in the presentation. And then once you implement it, control it. Can you go more? So those are the one-way and the two-way door decisions which we always take during our discovery phase of a project, of a consulting, or when we are developing a project.
I can see Dan's brain like.
like it's just firing on so many levels. Thank you for
the
doing
fact
that.
You could have like 2 or 3 teams like running in parallel, solving for the same problem, and it's not like they're competing to a certain degree, right? At the end of the day, you do want to come out on top, but it's more about having that variation in thought and see like what is ideal. Because again, it drives back to that, at that level of throughput, at that level of execution, even 1 second save in a process, can equate to millions of dollars and billions of clicks. I mean, that in itself lends itself to say, yeah, why do it with one team when you can do the 3 teams doing the same thing? Like, that is pretty phenomenal.
100%. And I think something to just like where my brain went to is for all those vendors and suppliers in the industry, when you hear RD say that his team is spending all of this time making sure that the clarity in the problem is communicated in 1 minute or less. I think if I think of the thousands of vendors that are here, them being able to communicate their value prop and what they do in the same amount of time or less is as equally important, because you don't want to hear an hour-long pitch to try to think of, okay, did they say what I'm looking for somewhere in there? You want them to be super clear and concise on that value prop.
Correct. Makes so much sense, right?
Yeah.
Simple though. Simple. Can you explain to me what you do in 1 minute? Why are you different?
The elevator
because
pitch.
At the end of the day, I can tell you, like, for a layman, of course, for you, much easier. For me, little bit easier, right? Like, relatively. You walk through the floor and you see a lot of the AMRs just look like AMRs. And there is like 700 of them on this floor. Like, I'm making that up, but like, there is a lot of them. So what's your differentiation, right? Like, just because you have a big booth doesn't translate to you actually have some value proposition, right? Let's talk about it, because it's all, funded and investor money and whatnot. Like, do you truly have value proposition? And I don't have 700 minutes either, right? Like, so I want to just go through this very quickly, explain to me what's your value prop. And then if it triggers, we're going to have a conversation on the backside.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned earlier, RD, was, as you have your agenda and everything, and you're looking for the innovators. This doesn't have to be related to Amazon, but just generally speaking in the industry, obviously the last 12 months has been inundated with AI conversations. And just your perspective on how that's evolving. Is it still a little bit of lip service? Or are you starting to see some concrete examples of use cases where it's actually beneficial?
Good question. I will start with AI was not invented in last 12 months.
Correct.
That's one thing which I always start with is AI. When I was an engineer 20 years ago and I used to do gauge R&R, and when the value came out, I said, okay, if it is 3, tell the person that the operator needs more training. That was AI. Reading a computer's output is AI. It was always there. Google came out with Google Translate 15 years ago, and that was AI. So today, just because it is now a mainstream media,
like generative AI is what,
Gen AI or ML AI based, machine learning AI. But I'm glad it is becoming mainstream, because you have to think AI. I'll give an example. Is a procurement department today does 50 steps to place an order. How much when was the last time anyone did a VSM, a value stream mapping of it, found value creator steps, and then understood how many times do you order rope, dope, and soap? The same day, every day.
Right.
Okay. Are you ordering the same Kleenex, same gloves, same bearings, same MHE equipment, all of those. So understand what is repeatable, take it out of human interaction. You will give more satisfaction to your people, and it will add value. Now they can use that time saved to do more creative stuff. They will not only spend their 8 hours in maintenance related idea, but AI can be applied to automation. AI can be applied to forecasting, which is the backbone of
Exactly.
3PL. Having an amazing but generative AI. Just because you took an action doesn't mean that you take that action again tomorrow. Make it more generative. And also in 3PL picks, what is my heat map in my warehouse? How many times is my inventory? Is your warehouse zoned right? Am I doing the maximum frequency SKUs in the back of the warehouse? All of those items, I think, should be. And today, application of AI has become so easy. Everyone should, if not, take the learning course and get acquainted to it. But the more the merrier, the more people know about AI, talk about AI, their inquisitiveness increases. Now, leaders like us, we don't have to tell them go take AI, but it will only add to company values. And companies should encourage their staff, no matter what level they are, to get some kind of training.
The fact you kind of pointed it out, right? Like AI wasn't invented in the last year.
Yeah.
There is a lot of noise around, like from a marketing, making noise like AI, because what has truly changed over the last 1 year that I will call out is we have had machine learning. Warehouses have been using ML for a while. If you buy a lot of the robotic solutions that are out here are already inherently using some of that algorithms that are necessary to optimize, like goods to person and how much digging do you do and whatnot. That is self-learning algorithms that look at things, right? Like there are computer vision things that have been like grabbing arms and whatnot. That has been there. Generative AI, I'm still, again, I spoke on another podcast. I'm waiting and watching. I'm sure people will innovate on how it applies to the warehousing environment. But what did change is because of the mass adoption of generative AI in the general industry, the compute and the cost of compute started going down, because now it's something like we are going to run out of the compute GPUs in like the next 2 years. So there is this gold rush of silicon manufacturing. The amount of processing that we require now from a demand standpoint is exponential. And what you're now going to see is we already have the capabilities. It's just going to start becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to actually do that as more and more compute floods the market. That's where the true, like that, you're going to see the big change kind of happen. So it's not right now. If you look a couple years down the road, that's when it's going to get really interesting. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Agree completely.
Yeah.
And it is going to only evolve from here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
RD, I don't know how to thank you enough. Really appreciate your time and joining us. Masterclass episode. Really appreciate your perspective. So again, just want to say thank you for joining.
Thank you. And one last thing, which you asked me before, is how does Amazon innovate, right? And how do you keep in front? Sometimes we think if you are the leaders in innovation, how do you stay motivated and bias for action or innovate and simplify and continuously look out for the best in class? And the speed of innovation at Amazon, which I will call out, is super fast. You innovate 7 years of technology or automation in a year. So, that's where we learn fast, we fail fast, and we improve very fast.
Beautiful.
there we go.
Love it. Love
Thank
it.
you very much, RD. Really
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank
you for having me.
As we bring another episode to a close here at Modex, we want to extend our gratitude to GNP Construction for their sponsorship of the podcast. If you're in need of top-notch, all-inclusive material handling solutions for logistics and commercial real estate, look no further than G&P Construction. Be sure to visit GANDPconstruction.com to discover your one-stop shop for turnkey MHE integrations.
Hi, I'm Ninad Acharya, CEO and co-founder of Fulfillment IQ, and I'm here with
Dan Call, CRO and partner at Fulfillment IQ. We're the team behind the Ecom Logistics podcast. Our mission is to provide you with genuine insights from our work alongside logistics leaders to help you improve your supply chain.
In the Ecom Logistics podcast, we share the knowledge and the insights we've gained from working alongside amazing brands, retailers, 3PLs, and VCs, so you can make the most out of your supply chain journey.
If you like what you're hearing, we'd truly appreciate your support with a 5-star rating on your favorite podcasting channel. Your feedback not only keeps us going, but also helps others find the podcast. If you think Fulfillment IQ can assist you, or if you have an idea related to logistics, just reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're always up for a chat and ready to explore new possibilities together.
Stay tuned to the Ecom Logistics podcast on your favorite podcast platform for fresh and practical insights into e-commerce and logistics. Until next time, let's keep making a difference.